Hi, my name's Tim Rohr, president of Exascan, manufacturer of industrial-grade infrared windows. Infrared windows that give you more structural integrity, more field of view, more accuracy, and more for your money. This video will focus on why infrared scans are an important part of your electrical safety program. Now, this is just an overview. We're going to go into much more depth in a white paper by a similar name on our website, which we will link to. So, why have infrared scans become an industry standard? Why does every predictive maintenance and preventive maintenance standard recommend infrared scans at least annually, if not quarterly or monthly? And for that matter, you might as well ask, why is it that my insurance company requires annual infrared scans of my entire electrical distribution system from your main incomer on down to the motor peckerheads? The answer is pretty simple. Electrical thermography has been proven very effective in identifying anomalies between things like one fuse and two fuses next to it, or one lug versus the other lugs in the enclosure, one cable or two cables versus the other cables in a cable compartment. By identifying those anomalies, we can go and we can fix those typical faults, and in doing so, create a safer plant and de-risk the plant, not only for personnel, but also for the plant assets and the downstream process. In other words, improve uptime. In my travels, I meet with a lot of site managers who are very proud of their electrical safety programs. They're compliant on most of the issues outlined in 70E, but then when I dig a little further, I find out that they're not doing IR scans of their electrical distribution system, or maybe they're only doing them every 3 years to save on money. Well, they're very surprised when I share with them that every standard out there, NFPA 70B, NETA MTS, recommend at least annual scans on your electrical equipment. And on your critical assets, or assets that are undergoing a lot of change in load, change in environment, etc., it's recommended that that interval be moved up to quarterly or even monthly. And in fact, if you look at the NFPA 70E workbook, it lays out the concept of a three-legged stool. Kind of a cliche, but very, very appropriate in this instance. The first leg of that stool being the National Electric Code, NFPA 70. That tells people how to properly install electrical equipment. Second leg of that stool would be NFPA 70B, the preventive maintenance standard for electrical equipment. The third leg of that stool would be NFPA 70E, which is the electrical safety in the workplace standard, and that would go through actual work practices on energized electrical equipment. So NFPA 70E throughout the document refers to things being properly installed, properly maintained, and when you dig down on that, properly maintained means that it's maintained in accordance with industry standard recommendations. Every standard out there, NFPA 70B, NETA MTS, recommend at least annual scans on your electrical equipment. So being out of compliance with the maintenance standards means that you're actually out of compliance with NFPA 70E. In other words, if you're not performing your preventive maintenance in a manner that's consistent with every industry standard out there for maintenance, including NFPA 70B, the NETA MTS, and performing annual IR scans, then you do not have, by definition, a safe work environment. Let's walk through a scenario that I hope never happens. But let's say that there was a site that was not performing infrared scans on the intervals recommended or at all. And there was an incident on site that caused an injury to personnel. And OSHA came calling, or God forbid, their attorneys came calling and asked to see, based on industry standard recommendations, they asked to see your infrared scans of that piece of equipment? And the answer that that site is giving is that they don't do infrared scans, or that they haven't done them in 3 years. Well, that site manager is going to have a very uncomfortable couple of conversations, because it's very easy for both OSHA and any attorney worth his salt to ask, well, why was this particular standard not being followed for performing infrared scans to ensure a safe work environment for those personnel? So again, God forbid that that would ever happen, but it is the type of thing that a plant runs the risk of if not complying with the industry standards for consistent and periodic infrared scans. So why perform infrared surveys on a periodic basis? Really, it comes down to safety. Your safety program in NFPA 70E or CSA Z462 require properly maintained equipment in order to ensure a safe work environment. Second reason would be to protect your plant assets and your plant uptime. So the good news, though, is that performing IR scans is actually very cost effective. Let's review a couple statistics. 10% reduction in maintenance costs has the same effect on your bottom line as a 40% increase in sales, believe it or not. And the good news is that effective predictive technologies actually reduce your maintenance costs by more than 50%, not just 10. Another study conducted by the Aberdeen Group concluded that the average cost of downtime for industrial plants across industries was on the order of $250,000 an hour. Other studies on, for example, the automotive industry have found that downtime costs as much as $22,000 a minute. Then, of course, there's the DoD study that found a 10 times return on investment for predictive technology investments. And finally, by eliminating electrical faults, your energy efficiency will improve, again, saving you money. So do your IR scans on a regular planned maintenance cycle and save yourself some money, protect your plant assets, protect your downstream processes, improve uptime, and protect your personnel, giving them a safe work environment. Thank you for taking the time to view this video. If you have any questions about the content of this video or suggestions for content for other videos, we welcome your input. Please contact us. Thanks. Stay safe.